In the previous video, you were presented with a synopsis of how Paula and two other teachers in a first grade classroom in Finland carried out a unit of work entitled Studying the Human Being. In groups of 3 to 5, the children were tasked with designing and creating a presentation and an action task on a particular aspect of the human body, which they would present at a learning fair in the school. This video is also based on this unit of work, but it examines how the students in Paula's classroom are working with others and what is the quality of that collaboration. Just to remind you, when examining a unit of work for collaboration, the following questions are asked. Are the students required to work in pairs or groups? Do students have shared responsibility? Do students make substantive decisions together? And is the students' work interdependent? Working together requires students to work in pairs or groups to discuss an issue, solve a problem, or create a product. Throughout this unit of work, the children were required to work in groups. They had to discuss issues and they had to create products together. For example, as part of the first lesson, the children were required to work in groups and discuss the key words that came to mind when they thought about the human body and well-being. Each group had to agree which key words they would write on a set of sticky notes. The children were later regrouped into groups of 3 to 5. Each of these groups had to work together to plan, research, and represent knowledge about their topic at the learning fair. They also had to plan and create an activity task based on this topic. As they worked together, the students had shared responsibility to develop common products, designs, and responses at various stages across the unit of work. For example, the children in their groups had joint responsibility for deciding which key words they would use to characterise the human body and well-being. Having written these key words on sticky notes, each group also had responsibility in deciding where to place these key words on a mind map. As you can see, this mind map contained a set of categories representing topic headings such as body parts and digestion. Shared responsibility is also in evidence in the next stage of the unit of work. Having collected the key words for their topic from the mind map, group members had joint responsibility to compose sentences using these key words. If the group did not understand the meaning of a key word or why it belonged in their category, they had to devise a question that would provide the answer. Groups were also asked to think about what else they might like to find out about their subject and to devise questions that would help them provide this information. In this way, the group collectively owned the work and was mutually responsible for its outcome. Not only were the children required to share responsibility, but they also had to make substantive decisions together in relation to the content, product, and process of their work. In particular, substantive decisions were made in relation to how the group decided to represent the knowledge they had learned about their topic at the learning fair. In addition, based on this knowledge, they also had to decide what kind of activity task they would design for the fair. In terms of content, students had to decide together what content they wanted to include about their topic. Although they were given a set of key words relating to their topic, they were also asked to think and research what else they might like to include about this topic. They also had to decide how they would represent the knowledge they had learnt at the fair. Similarly, substantive decisions were made by the groups in terms of the action task or product they produced. They had to decide together what action tasks they would create based on their topic. The groups came up with a wide range of action tasks, including quizzes, using Kahoot, memory tests, and making alias card games. Finally, the students made a number of decisions that shaped the process of their work throughout the project. Students continuously planned what each group member would do. For example, the research questions were distributed across the group so that each member of the group had some questions to research. Equally, when preparing for the learning fair, the groups subdivided so that half the group created the knowledge task and the other half created the action task. As well as deciding on the responsibilities of group members, the group also evaluated and reflected after each session, noting what work needed to be done for the next session. Finally, the children's work was interdependent, as it was necessary for all group members to participate in order for the group to succeed. 2 clear examples of interdependent work are as follows. First, in order to create the knowledge task or presentation, group members individually composed sentences based on each of the key words. These sentences were used to make a presentation on the topic using OneNote or PowerPoint. To do this, a group of children worked together to determine how to organise the information into a coherent report. Thus, while individual students composed a different sentence for the presentation, the students had to work together to determine how this information could be assembled into a coherent presentation. Second, the children had to work together in order to build and successfully operate their booth at the Learning Fair. They not only had to negotiate and agree on the knowledge representation task and the action task, but they also had to negotiate and agree on the roles and responsibilities of the group members for the duration of the fair. For example, let's take a look at the Nutrition and Hygiene group booth. The knowledge task was available on a computer, and guests also had to try out the action task, which was an alias game. One student was responsible for presenting the group's PowerPoint presentation, while 2 other children invited guests to play an alias game. So, to conclude, Paula's unit of work is coded at a 5. This is because students were required to work in pairs or groups, students had shared responsibility, students made substantive decisions together, and the students' work was interdependent.